The topic of conversation this week is food and drink. So we're going to be learning how to order food and drink in Spanish in a very simple way, and in a way that is going to allow you to order some food and drink in a restaurant, in a bar, when you are over in Spain. I would recommend you to have all of your infographics for lesson number 5 downloaded so that you are familiar with that vocabulary beforehand. And also because meals in Spain are slightly different as meals in the UK. So the gastronomy is very different. The times of the day that we eat are very different. And in Spanish, we have more meals throughout the day than we have in the UK. And therefore, because that is different, the cultural aspects are different, the vocabulary is also different. For example, on this slide, we've got one of your infographics. A starter in the UK in the Spanish would be primer plato. And that would normally be, for a Spanish person, either a soup or a salad. So something very light, what we consider very light. And the main course that we have in the UK, in Spain, that would be segundo plato, which is normally what most people have. Many people do not bother with the starter, and they just go for the main course, which in Spain is segundo plato. And normally that's going to be either meat, or it's going to be fish, or some people do like having pasta, which is not the usual, but it does happen. And then we have the dessert. As you know, some of you may know that in Spanish, we've got proper verbs to talk about meals. So for example, in the English language, we say to have breakfast, to have lunch, to have dinner. In Spanish, we do not use the verb to have. We do not use the verb tener to talk about meals. So we've got the proper verbs that you can find on the infographics, and they are all regular verbs that you can start learning how to conjugate those and say how to have breakfast, how to have lunch, etc., together with the rest of the vocabulary that is going to be really useful for when you are over in Spain and you need to order something at a restaurant or in a bar. So in the dialogue today, we're going to see how a conversation, a possible conversation can go between a waiter and a client. We are going to introduce some verbs conjugated in the present of indicative, as well as pronunciation of the letters that we've learned in this lesson, V and V, and letters that we've learned in previous lessons, like the J and the G's. And as you know already, on the right-hand side of the slide, you've got the translation into the English language. So as we have already explained how the vocabulary works, so hopefully that all makes sense when I read out the dialogue. ¿Qué va a tomar de primer plato, señor? De primer plato quiero sopa de tomate, por favor. Y de segundo quiero un filete con patatas fritas. ¿Quiere algo de postre? Un café con leche y tarta de chocolate. Y de beber, una copa de vino tinto. ¿Puede traerme un vaso de agua también, por favor? Sí, claro. ¿Desea algo más? No, gracias. ¿Me trae la cuenta, por favor? Aquí tiene. ¿Quiere pagar en efectivo o con tarjeta? So this is a sample of a dialogue that can go between a waiter and a client. Is very, very basic, is very effective, and this is all you can get started with to have that conversation with a waiter or a waitress in Spain to have your meal served. So let's move on to what other vocabulary, questions, and expressions you can use with the material that is included in this course. So if you go to your Easy Spanish Phrase ebook in sections 30 to 39, They are all about eating and drinking. So there's about around 60 expressions, vocabulary, and questions that you can add to your vocabulary for eating and drinking, different ways of asking things, different expressions, even more vocabulary, together with the pronunciation that is included next to each of the expressions and the vocabulary. And you can bring all of that information, all of the slides, everything that you've learned in this lesson to your practice on Thursdays, and also to your meetings with your Spanish speaking language partners in your weekly meetings with them, and see how that works. And you can put all that together and then let us know if you have any questions, as usual, in the Facebook group, and we can help you with that.